Ready, steady, gold. Yes, maybe indeed it might be a good start to buy gold currently. But how can it be? The market came down. Is it really a good idea to buy into a falling market? Yeah, there might be a good chance. So let's check it out. Where are the levels where we can decide what the market is doing next and how we can decide what to do exactly? So stick with me and let's have a closer look what the chart is telling us. Yes, as I mentioned, I want to check the gold price, the chart, to decide what I do next. And not only gold, we will also have a closer look what silver is doing and maybe copper, because we were talking about that before. And some people ask me, is the situation still valid? What shall we do with the current situation here? And yes, we are doing this in a chart technical way. Why don't we care for fundamentals? Why don't we care for all these informations coming in from the Fed, for example, the Federal Reserve Bank in America, from other parties, from banks, from whatever is helping us to decide what the market is doing? No, I'm just trusting the market participants. I'm just trusting the guys who are selling and buying the precious metals. I'm not trusting any message. It should go up, or it should be a positive situation because of this and that. I just see the reaction and say what indeed they did and how they typically react on this and what levels are coming out of these interactions with the market. So that's what the reason why we are checking the charts only, and that's let's have a closer look what we can do there. Okay, for that, let's start with gold. The gold price is not in the best situation, or was not in the best situation the last few hours. The market came down and surprised some people because it was a strong movement, and some people expected already, is there a chance that the market is already in a bullish mood, and starting from there. And I think it was not a perfect situation, because normally we have a situation that the market needs some kind of typical pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 intermediate pattern here in the middle, which is a corrective pattern, and then a continuation. That's very, very often that you see this one, that if you see something at the beginning, you have a break and then a continuation. You could see this here at the very beginning, the lowest point starting with a strong movement to the upside, an ABC here to the downside. I cannot draw this correctly, but you clearly understand what I mean, I guess. And this is the intermediate high here and a continuation at least the same size like you have before. This is something you can typically expect. Of course, sometimes it's a little bit less. It is not a 100% chance that it reaches the one-on-one projection, but chances for that are really high. So in this case, it is roughly the same. You can see it is, let's measure this a little bit more exact. From the very high, from the highest point here to the lowest point. Here was the corrective pattern here in between, the highest point from there, and you could see we reached the 100%. We are even overshooting this level here, but this is still in this range for a typical one-on-one projection. So it is something, let's say, very, very, very typical if you see this. And you might remember that we were talking about this before, because it is something which is really, really normal in this market situation. So it is nothing what could surprise us in this case. So is it a good start to buy the market here? What are the overall patterns? Let's start with this one and see what we can see here. You may remember that we had two ideas with the market, with the current market. The first idea is that we are in a bullish mood and the market from now on is going upwards. And you could see we have here, it is a little bit too small, but you can see here this ABC pattern, which is represented by this part, ABC here to the downside. It's exactly the same like this here. If this is really happening, then at least we could expect something like this to the upside. This was the corrective pattern here, and moving to this level here, 100% here to this level. But doing this, you could see here in the daily chart, would also mean that we will overshoot this intermediate high. We will overshoot this down channel trend channel here, the upper part of the trend channel. Not necessarily that we overshoot this level here, but when this is following as well, then definitely we have the best chances to overshoot these high here, which is near the 2100 level, and can indicate that even higher prices, 2200, whatever, will follow. I'm not sure how far the market will go, because the situation here is a little bit unclear because of this previous pattern here. It could be something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only, which can lead us here to this levels here. It can lead even higher than this, but to be honest, if you have a chance to enter the market now, level roughly 1800 or even below that, with a chance of 2100 and above, I think it is worth thinking about to buy the market here. So this is really, really typical. When the market is turning now, then it would be a very good chance that we will reach this one. But will the market turn? And that's the part. I don't have a crystal ball so that I can decide by that and say definitely it will. But I know when I don't want to be long in this situation. So we should measure this part here, this corrective pattern here, and when this is in a typical area, everything seems to be okay. So currently we measure from the lowest point to the highest point, and we got the Fibonacci retracements here, 38.2 until 61.8. This is a typical area where the market typically is correcting. It could be a little bit higher, it could be a little bit less. You can see this here, but roughly this area is roughly the same here. This one is also, we can do this just for training purposes. The lowest point, the highest point, and you can see in this case it was more or less exact, the 50% level. It is not necessarily one of these lines. It is more a measure, reaching this area. Not exactly the one of these lines, but when the market is reaching this area, it has the highest potential that this is a valid corrective pattern for this bullish trend we've seen here before. So the market is exactly in this area here. So we can think about having the perfect situation that the market, if the market turns now, this is ending this corrective pattern, and we will have a continuation to the upside. One of the easiest thing to trade this is to wait for a break of the B wave here, which is this level here. You can easily find this. The lowest point is here, the second lowest point is here or there. That it does not matter so much. And this is the highest point here in between. So breaking through this level is giving us a perfect, a typical, a really wonderful point to enter the market. We had this here before. This was this level here before to get this part of the market. This was a smaller time frame, but it's exactly what we were talking about there. And it would be the same like we've had here. But you might remember I recommended, or not recommended, but I suggested to think about selling short the market because I expected this pattern. But sometimes in this case, for example, it did not give us a good opportunity because we were stopped out sometimes here. It isn't only a small loss, but it is not getting the right movement. This would be the last one, and this would lead us to this level here. So you could see all these breaks on the downside. This one, the ABC pattern, you could see this is the last. This was the previous. This was the last pattern here for selling short the market, if you like so, to get this continuation. The same exact idea is waiting for this break through this level here, which is roughly 1810, roughly a little bit below that. You can check this by your own. But this might be a good opportunity to enter the bullish market. In this case, not only for a one-on-one projection. In this case, I would think with best chances that we will reach this level here as well, roughly 2100. So this is one idea to enter this market. Is there another one? I have to confess, we should keep in mind when the market is not turning in this area. This might be dangerous. So I just draw it again. this is my typical turning area. When the market is breaking through this level, let's say the 61.8 level, which roughly is at 1740, it can be a little bit lower. Maybe even 70.30 is also okay. But the lower the market is going, the farther the market is going through this level, breaking through these levels and going even lower. The statistic-wise, the chances are getting worse for turning around and going to this long opportunity. So take care when the market is breaking through these levels. And for me, this is a solid line which I normally use for trading, the 78.6 level here. When the market is breaking through this level, this is my so-called last line of defense. When the market is breaking through this level, I don't prefer the long side anymore. In this case, the second scenario comes into play, which is reaching the lower end of the trend channel. It is not given that this will happen, but this is exactly the point where this is decided, in this area. Or by now, because we have seen this in the next few hours or days, because the market should stay, let's say the market is doing this for a last movement to the downside to give us these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave pattern. Everything is okay, but I don't want to see too much of a continuation to the downside. When the market is breaking through this level, 17, 15 latest, I will kill my long ideas and switch to the other side. So going long would be around this level. The short idea is valid around this level, but I'm not going short at this level. First, we have to decide what is our target if the short side is continuing. And the second is, where's the good opportunity to enter the market? If the market is breaking here, I have green lights for a short, but I don't have a good level to enter the market. So in this case, I would wait for something like a corrective pattern to enter the market on the short side. And to be honest, maybe I want to have a bigger sized one, not the same size like this one, because you can imagine if you have the same size like this here at that point, which could easily happen. But in this case, it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, and I don't like to trade the fifth wave because the fifth wave sometimes can be really long. This would be awesome, but it can be something like a dump one. It can be a shortened one. It can be an ending diagonal. So there are many opportunities that you're not too happy with this part of the chart because it's slackening down in speed. It's not giving you so much better price levels anymore. So I would wait for this. If the size is nearly similar to this one, I would wait for the next bigger size corrective pattern. And you can easily imagine the size of that is easily to measure with the Fibonacci. You should wait for coming back into this area, 38.2, 61.8, something around this level. Then you have exactly the same situation, but on a bigger scale like we had here or like we had here. So it is playing the charts is always the same idea. It is always thinking of a corrective pattern and a strong movement and which one is the stronger one. And if you see this one, you can see this could be a good level for a continuation to the downside maybe. And this would lead us to the final destination, maybe in this case for the shorty, which is roughly 1600. This is just a guess. It not necessarily is exactly this level here, don't get me wrong, but it is an orientation to see what this part of the chart is and to see, okay, this might be a continuation to the downside, which funnily in this case quite exactly lead us to this box here, which is at the lower end of the trend channel and not necessarily needs to be reached, but it is typical that this would be reached. So by now, we don't know whether this part or this part is next. The good thing is we can clearly see it in this chart in the next few hours. So if you're a slow trader, you can have in mind breaking through this level is killing the bearish picture. We have best chances for the bullish market. If the market is staying in this box here, measured by the Fibonacci retracements, both is valid. The short side, I would wait for entering a short, an intermediate short, because you can see after that I would also expect that the market will turn around. But so I think we have a good chance that we can stick with the short side for a few moments longer. So I think this might be a good opportunity to buy then on a lower price for this bull market here. But this is a story we have to talk later if this occurs in any way. So if you want to buy now and think it's a good opportunity to buy now on a lower price, if you don't want to wait for this, no, not for this one. I'm really sorry about this one. I just wanted to draw it like this here. If you don't want to wait for a break here, you of course can try to find something here, but I really recommend in this case wait for a similar pattern like this one, a strong one to the upside, an ABC to the downside. If you see this one here, maybe on a lower time frame, maybe in a smaller picture, something like a strong and a weak side, and use this for an entry. This is also good, but don't buy just blindly here at this level and say, oh, this is a low price, I will buy this here. Especially if you want to optimize your trading and if you're not willing to sit and wait until this lower end is coming. This is giving us a clear indication, but the current situation is not giving us a clear indication that the market will turn or not. So please wait for this one. If you don't want to wait for this one, at least for something like this, a confirmation on a lower time frame. Of course, you can also try with other measurements. I'm not a big friend of indicators here in this case, but some people may try and say, the indicator is turning around, so maybe it's a good opportunity to buy now. It might be a good choice, yes, but keep in mind, as long as the market is staying above this level, the chances are okay. Better this level, but the more the market is coming down, the sooner you should think about, shall I close the position because we are still on the wrong side. So we don't have clearness whether this or that picture is coming now. We will have clearness soon because it's just a small bandwidth we can use here within the price levels until the market decided for one or the other story. We have a good chance for higher prices either at once or later. That's also okay, but after a lower price level here as well. Let's check what silver is doing in this situation. Silver is doing a little bit similar to gold, and we were talking about the really worse situation there because we had some different picture here. While gold was coming up here strongly, silver did not. We had so much or so many setbacks, so much of a corrective pattern here that it is definitely not a good idea. It was not a good idea to buy this market. For partially, it was no problem because this was strong, this was weak, this was strong, this was quite weak, this was strong, no problem at all. But this pattern altogether was at any time, it was, or at least confirmed in the part here at the end, it was a corrective pattern, so it was nothing to buy this for the bullish long-term picture. And vice versa, we had some kind of a corrective pattern here. We had stronger movements to the downside. And even now we could see that this is an ABC pattern here. You can easily decide, okay, is this the same strength than this movement? And of course, clearly not. This is a strong one. This is an ABC pattern. This is also a strong one. So as long as the market is now coming back and forth, you can wait for a continuation here to the downside. So this is not a best indication that silver is climbing now. So, and this is a difference from gold, and maybe the indication that even gold needs some lower prices from now, because silver is giving us no clue that the market wants to turn around already. I think we have now best chances that we will reach this circled area here, which is roughly between 22, oh my God. 22 and let's say 20 or let's say 21, something around there. I would expect that the market is coming here to fulfill the typical pattern here, and after this we will have a best chance that the market might be in a good mood to continue the first part here even longer than I drew, and is continuing here to the upper side, let's say 40 or maybe even higher. I'm not sure about that, but in the aftermath. So after reaching this level here. So currently, concerning silver, I'm absolutely not in a bullish mood. This could turn at any time when we would see some really strong movements. And you could see it is not something like this. If I see something like this, I'm also bullish, but only for a very short portion of the market. So getting this again. But this is not changing the bearish pattern. The bearish pattern, we can see that the market is still in a downtrend. Only when the market is giving us one strong movement here, higher than the last corrective patterns, which were quite small in size. All of these are similar in size, but this would be a strong one, and it is a unidirectional one. It looks like a 5-wave or a strong movement without any corrective pauses, and then a corrective pattern here, and you can see, okay, this would lead us to the same distance here to the upside, and this is absolutely not fitting into this downtrending situation. So this is not only giving us the chance for this one, but may open the doors for the overall bullish mood. But for that, we need something like this. If you like to see something like this, if you don't want to miss this, have a closer look in the next few days whether you get this or not. If you need some help with this, contact me. I have something like BORN-4-Trading. This is some kind of a news group where I give my ideas also within the week. You can just contact me and I give you access, or can give you access for this as well. For all these German guys following me now, we have this in German as well, but I also can give you support in English as well with sending small videos on this. If we see some updates here, just contact me. If you are willing to, just write a comment or send an email to me if you are an English user and you want to have this service in English as well. So this is the situation in silver. Please expect some further lower movements here into this area here, definitely. And let's have a closer look at copper. We were looking at copper already. This is a future here at the COMEX, and you could see, in this case, it's a December future. Don't worry about the prices. Maybe it might be a little bit different from yours, but this is the pattern. I really love the overall pattern. This is a really strong bull market. This is a really weak corrective pattern, which is giving me a good mood buying this market when reaching this level and continuing this one. So I think the chances for this are really, really good that this will happen. But let's have a closer look at this part of the chart, or at this part of the chart, or even 4-hourly charts here at this part in the chart. You could see this is a really corrective pattern one. No problem at all. We had an ABC to the downside, ABC to the upside, ABC to the downside, very corrective, like everything is good. And maybe in one of my last videos, you may realize that I was talking about this quite strong situation here, the ABC pattern here. And we actually tried to get long at this point, but we're stopped out. To be honest, I'm not sure. Maybe a green 0 or a red 0 somewhere. We could trail the stop maybe, but it was not a really effective trade because the market turned around. It is okay when the market is turning around a little bit, giving us something like this. It looks really awesome. And also something like this and an ABC here to the downside is also okay for me. No problem at all. But we did not get an ABC to the downside. We got a strong move to the downside. And even in this case, we can expect that the market will continue a little bit more. So it was the best situation to close the position and say, okay, we are not in the bullish mood now. But checking this overall picture, you can see, with this overlapping here and this overlapping here, the bullish picture is not perfect. The only part which can keep us alive in the bullish picture is staying above this level here, which is the low of the 8th of September in the morning, roughly at 4:20. And as long as we are here with a strong movement to the upside and an ABC or something like there's a corrective pattern here, in my eyes, this drop was too low. You may remember me talking about the 78.6 level. We were solid below this point. So I don't like this as a bullish movement anymore because it is too low. And to be honest, I wish for a break here, which is indicating that the bullish mood is completely done. And I would like to see a lower end here so that we have continuing lower lows, lower highs. But from that point, somewhere around here, I want to see a good new start. Bullish one, ABC to the downside, and then a continuation, expecting that now this might be the end. I expected a little bit this one, but this was killed by this movement here. So you can see, even me as a professional trader trading since roughly 30 years now, I'm not able to 100% be sure what the market is doing next, but I can understand if this or that is happening, my idea is wrong, and I can close the position. I have a stop. In this case, it was a trailing stop. We could stop the position without any harm, without any high costs, and waiting for the next good chance. And I'm quite sure the next good chance will come. I hope it would come like this, because this is a very typical picture here. I'm sorry, a very typical picture in this case here. And we can expect that after this, the market can continue the strong movement we've seen here before. The good side effect is that in this case, this setback, we can see currently this setback we've seen here is well above the 38.2. When the market indeed, if the market indeed is coming down a little bit lower, we were closer to this level. And you might remember that I'm normally saying a typical setback is reaching this area. So it is okay. It's a little bit too high, but it is not a downside when the market is coming here again. No, it is just confirming this overall picture and giving us then a way better point to enter the market. So I'm really hoping this is helping you, and this is giving you good ideas and good impressions how to trade the markets. This is not only working with metals or commodities. You can also use this on any time frame in nearly any market, as long as you have enough volume in the market. If you have a liquid market like stocks, like indices, the futures, the options, for example, or you may trade CFDs depending on the country you are living in. But you can handle all of these situations in the same way. Maybe this helps you with gold, silver, and copper, and hopefully you can make a lot of money out of it. So stay safe, have good trades. Looking forward to seeing you again. Bye bye.